Welcome back, everyone, in our playthrough of the career mode here in NASCAR Heat 2. So in our last race, race one of round one of the playoffs and also our first full season of the truck. So a lot of firsts there. We get the victory, which is coming in first place. So lots of good things to like about that race, except for one, and that is that the AI were not competitive in the least. We won by, it was over 14 seconds, I think getting close to 15 seconds in a relatively short race. So that doesn't make me all that excited, but we've kind of come to expect that. There are some tracks where even with our science experiment trying to slow ourselves down, it still doesn't work as much at some tracks. There are some tracks where the AI just cannot run all that well. And that happened to be one of them. So we got a very clear victory there. Now it's on to Vegas. Okay, we're going to Vegas, but there's no stress for us. Vegas and Talladega that will follow will be stress-free for us. And the reason? Very simple. These races don't mean anything to us as to whether or not we will move on to round two. We're already into round two by virtue of our victory in the last video at New Hampshire. So we can go here stress-free. We can focus on just one thing, the win. If we don't win, we don't get any points that will actually carry over. So it's all about the wins for us. Let's head to Vegas. All right, folks, here we go. Green flag at Vegas. 19 laps. We are starting P14. All right, let's see how these guys behave. I'm trying to give them as much room as I can. All right, so far so good through turns 1 and 2. There's not a whole lot of room here on this track. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do anything, where I get on the high side and go 3 wide. Ooh, these guys are, wow, they lifted quite a bit going into the corner there. I was not expecting that. Had to hit hard on the brakes to keep off of them. All right, so now I got to figure out a strategy of what I'm going to try to do. All right, let's try to get around at least 1 or 2 of them here. Again, they're not giving me a whole lot of room up here. You can hear the throttle. I am still pedaling it because I do not trust these guys. All right, the most room I'm going to have is probably going to be right in this area on the front stretch. Ooh, he can run up in front of us there. Now you can run this track in the trucks easily wide open. That's not the issue. All right, oh, he's not giving us any room. He cut us off. Come on, Truex. Wow, that was very tight. All right, so far the outside is definitely working out better than I thought it would. All right, you can see Briscoe there ahead of us, with the icon over his head that's letting us know that, hey, here is a guy who is in the playoffs. All right, again, still being very tentative here. I'm way off the gas right now. Passing Infinger here on the high side. Briscoe, there he is. All right, let's see if we can get to the high side of Cindric. I would prefer they get single file, they are not. All right, let's pedal a little bit through turn 1 and 2, see if we can clear Cindric, who is also in the playoffs. Again, I expect these guys in the playoffs. Ooh, wow, he almost got himself wrecked there. That's one of the things I worry about. AI don't seem to have very good awareness of where they are on the track in relation to who's around them, particularly us, because they will not hesitate to cut you off at any point. All right, 14 laps to go, and we are running quite nicely. All right, let's run it through here wide open. Ooh, really loose through there. I like it. All right, let's see what we got. I ran a grand total of 1 lap of practice. I essentially threw, for now, I threw the Kansas setup in here. Ran 1 lap and said, yep, that's steady enough. Let's go get it. Again, just trying to keep it fun. because I don't have any idea of exactly what I've got in relation to the other cars. All right, so now we're coming up on John Hunter, who is leading, and of course, this victory would be huge for him because this would guarantee his advancement ahead of Talladega. But we're going to try to take that away from him. And all right, so we passed him actually rather easily going through turns 3 and 4. Let's go ahead and pull up our display. All right, 12 laps to go. And we are ahead of him by about a half second right now. Vegas is an extremely bumpy track, going back to when they actually repaved it at the reconfiguration, adding banking several years ago. They added these high frequency bumps in the corners. That was just part of the paving. That was not good, because I remember hearing about that when they were first testing on the new surface. We're ahead by 1.2 seconds right now. Let's see what it is the next time around. We're able to make, trying to stay toward the bottom, but not particularly worried about getting on the very bottom. That's not really an issue for us right now. Just gliding right along. Again, running full speed, full throttle, all the way around. All right, so we were a full 0.8 of a second faster than the closest guy. So that's got to be the momentum that's doing that for us. We haven't run any races here, obviously, in the truck as just a 4-star truck without momentum, but I got to think it's that extra momentum that is giving us this extra speed, because this is basically what it looks like to run against the maximum difficulty AI in single player mode, outside of career mode. We are generally around a second per lap faster than the AI. This is one of the things we were actually trying to avoid with our science experiment for career mode. But I feel like the momentum has bit us here in that regard. Yeah, you can see our lead is continuing to grow, now at 3.5 seconds. 8 laps to go. One of the questions I had asked a few videos ago, I don't remember exactly which one. I want to say it was the Chicago video, but it may not have been, where I talked about heading into the playoffs, and we're going to be at some 1.5 miles, some bigger tracks where it's all about the speed. And would we be at such a handicap on these types of tracks that we would not have a shot at the title because of that? Because if you remember back, at Chicago we didn't win. We came in second, but we're not running down the leader at the end. So he had more speed, or basically identical speed to what we had. And then on some of the other 1.5 miles, or even more, like particularly Michigan, I remember we had no speed whatsoever at Michigan and ran sort of midfield, maybe a little bit better than that. And now here we are at Vegas. So it seems as though if we can keep the momentum, we've got a shot if we can make it all the way to Homestead. But of course, the key is you got to make it to Homestead before you can win it, or even have a shot at winning it. So here our lead continues to grow. We're now at roughly 5.5 seconds. And I see some lap cars ahead. I don't know if we're actually going to get to them. Hopefully not. Yeah, in 5 laps, we're probably not going to get to those guys ahead of us. You see, I'm sort of running middle of the track, missing some of the bumps. It's not necessary for us to get all of those bumps at the bottom. 3 and 4 not near as bumpy, so I can run down on the track a little bit more there as our lead grows to 6.5 seconds. So about a second a lap or thereabouts that we're faster than second place. Now you can see we get down toward the bottom, it gets extremely bumpy. Setup's working out pretty good. Aside from the bumps, it basically feels like we're riding around on the interstate. No issues with handling. Car's not loose or tight. Another thing you got to be wary of on bumps is that the car doesn't get really loose or really tight over the bumps. All right, let's see what these guys are going to do. Yeah, he's going to head to the top side. I had a feeling he was going to do that. Let's see what Chastain does. Yeah, he's going to arc it in there and go to the bottom. So we'll give him that. We'll take the high side. So you can see they're 2 by 2 ahead of us. And we're catching these guys a lot faster than I thought we were. And I really don't want to have to deal with that stuff in front of us. That is not good. See there, 1 and 2, I got a little loose on the bottom running over those bumps, but that is what I call an easily manageable loose condition. That was really not that big a deal at all. The only thing I really worry about over the bumps is when the car or truck in this case is so loose that you feel like you might actually spin out, and that's definitely not close to that. All right, so it was very nice of those 4 trucks in front of us to, just as we got to them, they decided to get single file and give us the high side, and we were able to pass all 4 of them quite nicely. I definitely appreciate that. So we're moving up on 26, but we will not get to them, as that is that. So we come to Vegas and get maximum points by winning the race. Again, no stage points for us running these shorter races, but we come home with the victory, which is going to ensure that we continue stockpiling playoff points. Let's go ahead and let things work through and take a look at the standings. As you can see here, we win by roughly 9 seconds. A huge margin of victory for this few laps, that's for sure. All right, we'll add just shy of 74,000 to our bank total, and now we are closing in on $2 million in our bank account. So let's look at the standings. And John Hunter had a great race. You saw we passed him for the lead. He is now 19 points ahead, so a great race for him. It gives him 19 points of cushion headed into Talladega. Chase Briscoe, also great run. We saw him, I believe he was in 4th or 5th as we were coming up through the field. So he now has a 16-point cushion, but then it gets really, really dicey. Christopher Bell, 8 points for a cushion, but then Enfinger and Gregson are tied for that final spot. So it's going to be interesting for them going in to Talladega. In the meantime, Austin Cindric is feeling like he's definitely got a good shot. He's only 3 points out, and Stuart Friesen is going to need some help. He is 11 points out, so he's going to need probably a couple of guys here to have some bad luck at Talladega. And of course, if there's one place it can easily happen, Talladega is definitely it. All right, we get our trophy. Let's go ahead and move on. Fastest lap makes no difference to me. Not terribly worried about that. All right, so as we head back to the main menu, we now have a message from Ben Rhodes.
Hey, you've been doing really well out there. Keep it up.
There you go, short and sweet. Doing really good. Keep it up. So we saw in an earlier message, a Twitter message, that we have 15 wins so far in career mode. Now this, I believe, will make it 16. And now we look forward to the one that nobody has been waiting for in the playoff grid, and that is Talladega. So we head there with, we're feeling fine. We're perfectly fine no matter what happens. We can wreck lap 1, turn 1 of Talladega and finish dead last, it will make no difference to us. John Hunter Nemechek is also feeling really good going into Talladega as he has the biggest point cushion. But then below that, it gets a little dicey until you get down to the cut line where it is very tight amongst 3 or 4 drivers. So should be interesting, but that's going to be in our next video. For now, thank you very much for joining me and stay tuned for more NASCAR Heat 2.